All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of Metalheads Unite, our favorite day of the week.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Metalheads Unite.
Hope everyone out there had a safe 4th of July and came back with all of your appendix. I can't even say shit today. I'm already starting out fucked up. I quit.
Man,
I'll
we're
see y'all next week.
yeah. I was about to say I was about to say we're 30 seconds in and you're tongue tied already.
I already know. It's like that damn my damn printer cartridge just fucked me up today. So.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah,
exactly get off on the best
right.
footing. So,
Yeah.
but
So
that always sucks when you run out of printer ink.
yeah. So I got to figure out what the warnings are, if I got a set a warning or what the hell's going on with that, because it did not tell me that I was low on anything. So uh,
Yeah, which is weird because we've got printers and everything at work where I work, and you know when the toner starts getting low, it tells you like a month in advance. And
right.
when you've got like this much paper left in the tray, it tells you you're getting low on papers. So I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, there may be some adjustments you may need to make.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a brand. It's brand new, so and
Yeah,
it wasn't cheap. So I need to find out why in the hell it's not.
right.
You know, it does everything but talk to me. So
Now, if it starts talking to you,
uh,
you may need to move out of your house
yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah.
because that's how you get Skynet.
Yeah. Well, I got a Ghostbuster shirt in my closet, so I think I'm good.
Oh, well, see, there you go. Now you're fine.
uh, wow. So I guess we can kick right into this thing here.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you guys don't follow us, we or haven't followed us in the past, and this is your first time, welcome for one. Uh, we kind of cover a lot of the news stories from different other websites, Kerrang, Metal Hammer, Loudwire, Blabbermouth, so on, so on. We kind of compile all those together for you guys, so you don't have to do all the work. We do it for
That's
you.
that's
Uh,
right. We're the scrubbing bubbles
Scrubbing bubbles of metal.
of the heavy metal music world. We do the work
Yes.
so you don't have to.
Uh, but yeah, so we do a little research of our own too. So we do a little. I know Chris does the albums that were released on this day or this week from the past, and then I do news stories in the past, and we also give birthday shout outs to those that have birthdays throughout the week and uh, all that good stuff. And then we do a little special thing, and it's different every week. So this week
Yeah.
we're doing metal ballads from the '80s. So
From the 1980s.
yeah,
Some
a lot of
people
you probably
say
a lot of you probably
yes.
would not even born then. So.
Yeah, some people would say it's the golden age of heavy metal. That's a probably a debate we could have on another show on
Well,
another day, but
it may be the, the glammy days is what we call it, but
that well now see that was definitely true. That was absolutely true.
uh,
Yeah.
all right. Let's kick this thing off like we always do with the birthdays. Have a
Yeah,
few this week.
yeah, there were some good ones this week.
And so we'll start off with the 4th of July. Uh, Mark Slaughter, vocalist and guitarist for Slaughter, and he was also the vocalist for Video Vincent Invasion. I'll let you in on that little note because you'll find out later on. Stay tuned.
You met
uh,
Mark Slaughter once, didn't you?
I did actually. I can't really discuss how and where, but yes, I did. So it may be a little of a violation of a few things if I talked about it live on air. So
Yeah. You don't have to go into
so
you don't have to go
yeah,
into the
but yes,
specifics,
I did.
but
It was actually a funny meeting too. So, but it was cool. He's a good guy. He's real laid back and so. But yeah, they're still putting stuff out, believe it or not. So
they
it's pretty
are.
cool. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Also, July 4th, we had Jack Frost, or real name John Dempsey, a guitarist for Seven Witches. Uh, had William Goldsmith, drummer for the Foo Fighters. On July 5th, we had Jimmy Crespo. He was former guitarist for Aerosmith. July 7th, we had Larry Rhino Reinhardt, guitarist for Iron Butterfly. He actually died in 2012. We also, on the 7th, we had Perry Richardson, bassist for Firehouse, and one of yours and my favorites, Sinister Gates, guitarist for Avenged Sevenfold.
Yes, sir.
July 8th, we had Panty Whitey Glenn. He was a touring and session drummer for Lou Reed and Alice Cooper. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2017. But we'd like to give our props out to those that aren't actually, front, front and center of the band. So, um, and let's see,
Oh yeah, I
July
mean,
8th.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, every component of the band is important.
Oh yeah, if I could get a hold of the lighting guys and all that stuff, I'd probably put them on here too. But
I mean, for real. Yeah,
yeah, I mean they're part of the show. So
yeah, they are.
July 8th, we also had Carlos Cavazo, guitarist for Quiet Riot and Rat. Um, July the 9th would have been Bon Scott, lead singer for Aerosmith. I mean, Aerosmith. Oh my God, AC/DC. I'm gonna go to hell for that. Lead singer for AC/DC. He unfortunately passed away in 1980. Got a
Yeah.
story on him, and I'm still messing it up. So God forgive me. Um, Also on the 9th, we have John Mitchell, drummer for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He unfortunately passed away in 2008. We also have Frank Bello, bassist for Anthrax. We had Dan Estrin, guitarist for Hoobastank. Spencer Eldon. This is a little addition here. Spencer Eldon. He was the baby and model on the Nirvana Nevermind album, but his birthday was the 9th of July. So what is he,
Oh,
like 30 now?
you mean that wasn't you mean that wasn't Dave Grohl on the cover of
Well,
Nevermind?
no, we all know it wasn't Dave Grohl, but that was a funny thing that
Oh
was
Jesus.
posted.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope nobody. I really hope nobody took that seriously.
well, it seemed like they did it, in a way. I'm just like, at least one person did. I'm just like, yes, we are aware that that is not correct. They
Yeah.
actually posted the thing. It was funny because they said, uh, the meme was talking about how that baby was Dave Grohl, and was it Kurt Cobain threw him in a pool or something? I don't remember
Yeah,
like the whole
something like
thing.
that.
And then they said
Yeah.
now he's the singer for Imagine Dragons. So. And it was so funny that they put all that out there. Well, Dave Grohl was like, 30 when that happened or something. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you went through all that and did not even say anything about him being the lead singer for Imagine Dragons. I'm like, that should have gave you the hint that that was a joke.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah,
uh,
red flags galore. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right. Anyway, we got like one more day here. So July 10th,
Yep.
uh, another famous vocalist from the early 80s, 70s, and 80s, Ronnie James Dio, who vocalist for Elf, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, Dio, and Heaven and Hell. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2010. So happy birthday and birthday recognitions for all those on that list, and for all those I missed. Happy birthday to all of you as well. Um, but yeah, so I think it was kind of crazy that you had two big time vocalists a day apart birthdays, and from that era, like Bon Scott and Ronnie James Dio. That's pretty wild to have them a day apart in birthdays.
Right. Yeah. The 9th and the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen on here. So
No, not really. I
usually,
mean,
usually you have like a couple of standouts, but to have that big of a standout is pretty wild.
yeah. Yeah. We get them in. We get them in the same week, but usually
Mm-hmm.
not that close together, like you're talking
Right.
about. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, what do you have for
All
news
right.
of the week?
Yep. We're gonna kick off. We're gonna kick off the current events news this week. Unfortunately, the same way we kicked it off last week. Unfortunately, we have another death in the music scene. Unfortunately,
Yeah, we
um,
gotta stop. We gotta stop starting our day off like
yeah,
that.
I know, I know. I don't like to lead off with this, but if we can, I figure it's better to lead off than end with it.
Well, that's true.
So I mean,
It don't,
unfortunately, it's unfortunate we have to do it. We have to do it at all.
Yeah, it
But
only gets happier from here. So
that is true. It only gets happier from here. Former Uriah Heep singer John Lawton has died at the age of 74. Lawton was Uriah Heep's frontman from 1976 to 1979, appearing on three of the band's studio albums, Firefly and Innocent Victim, both released in 1977, and Fallen Angel in 1978. Uriah Heep issued the following statement, quote, "It is with deep regret that we share the devastating and tragic news of the sudden and totally unexpected passing of John Lawton on June 29th, 2021. Contrary to reports, there was no illness involved, which makes his passing incomprehensible. He went peacefully with his wife at his side. John will be greatly missed. A private funeral service to celebrate John's life will be held following his wishes, with only family and close friends attending. We would appreciate that the family's privacy is respected during this difficult time," end quote. Back in 2013, Lawton rejoined Uriah Heep when they toured the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Italy, and Switzerland. Lawton reunited with the group to cover for Bernie Shaw, who required some time off for a routine medical procedure. Uriah Heep guitarist Mick Box shared a special memory of John from the late 70s, saying, quote, "One of my abiding memories is Heep playing Wise Man on top of the Pops. If ever there was a song which did not give a hint of the band's hard rock background, this was it, and I was worried that we would be accused of selling out to commercialism. I needn't have worried, as John sang it so powerfully that he not only made the song his, hard rock fans loved it too," end quote. Lawton began his musical career in North Shields, UK in the early 60s with The Deans, a bunch of kids who decided at random that John should be singer. He then moved on to West One and later Stonewall, which included John Miles, Vic Malcolm, later of Geordie, and Paul Thompson, later of Roxy Music. After Stonewall finished a stint at the Top 10 Club in Hamburg in 1969, John decided to stay in Germany. He was offered the job as singer with legendary German cult rock band Lucifer's Friend from 1969 to 1976, and again from 1979 to 1995, and subsequently recorded 9 studio albums during his time with the band. In the early 70s, John also joined Les Humphries Singers, with whom he recorded more than 20 albums and took part at 1976's Eurovision Song Contest. In 1976, John joined Uriah Heep as their frontman and recorded the classic albums Innocent Victim, Firefly, Fallen Angel, and Live 79, and toured Europe and the USA until September 1979. During his long-standing career, John has worked with some big names of rock on various projects, including Roger Glover's Butterfly Ball and Eddie Harden's Wizards Convention 2. In late 1980, he joined German rock band Rebel on 3 albums, including their hit singles Line of Fire and Eagle's Flight. He would record one more album with the group, now known as Czar, in the early 90s. John ventured into the world of classical music when he recorded vocals for Volker Barber. Yeah, that's kind of a tongue twister there. Volker Barber's Excalibur. In January 1994, he formed Gunhill, later known as JLB, John Lawton Band. The band recorded 2 albums, 1 studio, 1 live, and toured Europe. In August of 2000, John recorded his first solo album, the critically acclaimed Still Paying My Dues to the Blues. In December of 2008, John entered the world of television by presenting the Bulgarian travel documentary series John Lawton Presents, which led to the teaming of John and Bulgaria's Diana Express in November 2011 to record The Power of Mind in Pleven, Bulgaria. So, I mean, quite the career for that man, just outside of Uriah Heep. So, a cause of death has not been listed, but according to the release from the band, he wasn't ill, so they're not exactly sure what happened. If somewhere down the line they do release a cause of death, I'll kind of update you guys on what happened. But regardless of the cause of death, John Lawton has passed away at the age of 74, and that story comes to us from blabbermouth.net. So rest in peace, John Lawton.
Yeah, man, that's pretty rough.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, kind of getting tired with having to report the death of some of these guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think though, I mean, I just say it's hard for me to like comprehend that some of these guys are in their 70s and 80s now. I'm just like,
I know.
I'm just like, I see stuff like that, and then I say, oh, and he was 75. I'm like, what? It's like, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Well, I
man,
mean,
it's
hell,
like
you just,
time goes by so fast, man. It's like crazy.
yeah. I mean, you were just talking about how Bon Scott's birthday was yesterday,
Hmm.
uh, he would have been 75,
Right.
himself.
Right.
And today is Ronnie James Dio's birthday. He was 62 when he passed away. So I mean, hell, he would be 70 now
Right. So it's
or
kind of hard to,
thereabouts. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine those guys being 70, but that was the 80s. So I mean, that was
that's
almost
true.
40 years ago. So
Yeah, that is true.
all right, I'm gonna kick mine off here with a story from Blabbermouth. Uh, British heavy metal legends Iron Maiden have released a video message inviting their fans to the Belshazzar's Feast. Um, Belshazzar's Feast is a story of the writing on the wall in the Bible, and Iron Maiden fans have been speculating that the band has been teasing the announcement of its 17th album, possibly to be titled Writing on the Wall. In the 34-second video message posted to Iron Maiden's social media earlier yesterday, uh, well, maybe that wasn't yesterday. What was today? The 10th. So it was a
Today's
couple
the
days
10th.
ago.
Yeah.
I apologize. So it was a couple days ago. Anyway, singer Bruce Dickinson can be seen wearing a Belshazzar's Feast T-shirt while standing at the top level of a majestic-looking theater and telling the viewers July the 15th, rain or shine, heaven or hell, man or beast, you're invited to Belshazzar's Feast, but your mom can't come. So this is not the first time Dickinson was videotaped wearing the Belshazzar's Feast T-shirt. Late last month, he sported the same tee in an interview with Sky News. During the conversation, he teased Maiden's future plans, saying, "quote I can't tell you what it is, but it's right in front of you." End quote. Uh, a number of recent Maiden-related graphics have featured the slogan WOTW, which fans have theorized refer to writing on the wall. In addition, a Belshazzar's Feast poster was spotted at the Download Pilot Festival last month, bearing the date 15/07, which is backwards for 7/15. And the letters IMXV11, which fans believe are a reference to Iron Maiden, and 17 in Roman numerals. Iron Maiden hasn't released any fresh music since 2015's Book of Souls, which was recorded in late 2014 in Paris, France, with longtime producer Kevin Caveman Shirley. The Book of Souls was the longest Maiden album, clocking in at 92 minutes, with lyric heavily based in the themes of death, reincarnation, the soul, and mortality. Back in May of 2019, Italian website Maiden Concerts first speculated that Iron Maiden was putting the finishing touches on a new album. The site concluded that the LP was nearing completion after gathering social media evidence that all 6 members of the band, their wives, and Shirley were in Paris at the same time. The producer even posted new pictures of Guillaume Tell Studios. I probably killed that name, but where Maiden recorded Brave New World in 2000 and Book of Souls, saying he was finalizing a major project. During Maiden's summer 2019 North American tour, Dickinson hinted at new material, telling the crowd at the group's Oakland, California concert, quote, new Iron Maiden songs sooner than you think, end quote. At Maiden's Nashville show in August of 2018, Dickinson said that fresh music from the band wasn't beyond the bounds of possibility, adding that a new Maiden record was essentially a certainty. If the reports of a new Maiden album are true, it will mark the band's sixth to be produced by Shirley, who has worked with Iron Maiden over the past 2 decades. So I think it was pretty cool that he actually did that in a town near where we live. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so look for some Iron Maiden stuff maybe next week. Actually, the 15th is what, Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember
Is it?
exactly what
Okay,
day that
yeah,
is right off the top of my head, but it'll be midweek next week.
right.
If indeed that is true that there is new Iron Maiden music coming out,
Well,
we'll
you gotta speculate it at least be a single. They're at least
yeah,
going to release
right,
a single.
right.
So
Yeah. So either way, we'll keep our eyes open for that, and we'll let you guys know if we do hear anything, and if it is some sort of if it's a single, something that we can post and share with you guys, we will definitely do that at the Metalheads Unite Facebook page.
most
So
definitely.
absolutely.
But I'm looking forward to it either way. So
Oh, absolutely. And this may be a slightly unpopular opinion, not exactly sure, but I don't know about you, but me personally, I was a little let down by Book of Souls. Um, so like I say, that may be an unpopular opinion, but I
Hmm.
mean, it was okay. But I get maybe it was me. Maybe I got my expectations up a little high. But
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
you kind of do when you're used to the Trooper and Somewhere in Time, and all
True.
those older
Yeah.
albums that were just
Yeah.
off the wall good. So,
Yeah, so it's their fault because
yeah,
their older
exactly.
stuff is too
Yeah,
good. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
their fault. Okay, it's not my fault. Okay, good. Now
I
that
say,
we've established that, yeah.
we got a friend. I got a friend of mine that does that all the time. Well, I like their old stuff.
I wasn't trying to say I didn't like Book of Souls. I'm just saying,
Right. It just wasn't. Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of we've talked about, Avenged Sevenfold and the stage before. Was not a fan of the stage, even though, I do really, really like Avenged Sevenfold. It's kind of the same
Hmm.
thing with Maiden. I mean, I like, Maiden's career as a whole, their longevity. Obviously you like so much of their stuff, and then, their last album, just it, like I say, just for me personally, wasn't quite as good as some of their other stuff. But that's going to happen, especially with a band with a catalog and the longevity of Iron Maiden. So, but regardless of how I felt about the last album, always looking forward to the next, to the next stuff. And if that new stuff comes down the pike this week, I'm going to be all over it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. So just throwing that out there.
It's funny you
All right.
mentioned the Avenged Sevenfold on the stage because I have a story about that as well. So
No, yeah. All right. I think I may have seen that story, but yeah, I think I did. But spoiler alert, stick around for that.
yeah, right.
All right. All
Got to
right.
keep them on. Got to keep them on here though.
That's right. That's right. You gotta keep them wanting more. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping with blabbermouth.net for a couple more stories. Dave Mustaine has confirmed that David Ellefson's long completed bass tracks on the upcoming Megadeth album have been removed and re-recorded by another bassist prior to the record's release. Mustaine made the revelation while filming a new video message on Cameo, which lets users hire celebrities to record brief, personalized video messages about virtually any topic. Addressing a fan named Tina, whose friend David ordered the Cameo from Mustaine, Mustaine said, as transcribed by blabbermouth.net, quote, "I hear you're a pretty big fan of the Megadeth song Fatal Illusion right now. That's cool. Actually, we've got one song on the new album. It's called The Dogs of Chernobyl, which is very similar to Fatal Illusion in aggression. So I hope you like that song when you get the new record. It won't be long. It's a matter of finishing the parts when I get home to Tennessee from vacation in Florida." Jason,
Nice.
we have got to find out
We got to do
exactly
we got
where.
to do some sleuthing ourselves, don't
We absolutely do, because
we?
we know that we do know that Dave's studio is in Leaper's Fork,
Yes.
and Leaper's Fork is like 30 minutes from where you and I both live.
Yeah.
So we gotta find out
And,
where the hell that studio is.
and from my experience with that area, I've actually worked for some people in that area. There, it's pretty wooded, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of hidden
Yeah,
houses and
yeah.
whatnot
Oh
there.
no,
So I'm sure if we might have to like rent a helicopter to find it.
yeah, we probably do. Or we got to see if we know anybody with a drone. We can just like
Yeah,
fly
there you
over.
go.
So anyway, okay. It's a matter of finishing the parts when I get home to Tennessee from vacationing in Florida today and tomorrow. Our bass parts are all done, and it won't be long. End quote. Ellefson laid down his bass tracks on Megadeth's 16 LP in May 2020 at a studio in Nashville, Tennessee. A short time later, he raved about his performance on the record-telling 96.7 KCAL FM radio program Wired in the Empire that his musical chemistry with Megadeth drummer Dirk Verburen was comparable to the interplay between Geddy Lee and Neil Peart on classic Rush albums. Quote, "I feel like on the new Megadeth record, me and Dirk have those same moments," end quote, he said. "It's Megadeth. It's not Rush, obviously, but in the field of what we do, there were these moments that I was going, oh my God, this is me and a kid this is my Geddy Neil moment right here." That was another, quote unquote, from David Ellison there. Last month, Mustaine announced during an episode of his Gimme radio program, The Dave Mustaine Show, that Ellison's bass tracks would not be used on the new Megadeth LP. Let's see, quote, "I just want to thank you for all the kind words and support as we get ready for this next tour and continue to hunt for a new bass player," the Megadeth leader said. "We are making progress. The record's being completed, and we're going to have someone coming in a couple of weeks to replace the bass tracks that we had, which should be relatively quick because the person we're talking to is a stellar bass player, and hopefully this will be an ongoing thing after the recording. Or we will find someone prior to the recording that will be our permanent guy going forward," end quote. And the rest of it goes into all of the scuttlebutt behind David Ellison's dismissal from the band, which I've reported on more than once. So we're not going to rehash that. Everybody knows by now, should know by now exactly what happened as far as David Ellison getting fired. So we won't rehash that. So basically, according to Dave Mustaine, it sounds like the album is all but done except for a release date and all that good stuff. So we'll definitely keep you posted on any pending release dates. We'll let you guys know that as soon as we hear it. But it sounds like they've already replaced David Ellison's bass tracks. So it sounds like they're all good there.
So just from the stories that we've done last week and this week, as far as like album reviews that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, we were talking about how there was like a few and far between of four horn or more albums out there that we would really enjoy or we really liked. It was just few and far between the last few weeks. So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to explode this last half of the year, and we're going to be it's going to be really, really interesting, especially with the Iron Maiden announcement, Megadeth. And actually, I got two more stories about albums coming out. So
yeah,
it's and I actually just read where Five Finger Death Punch is putting lyrics and stuff down for a new album as well. So I'm just like, man, all this stuff, and I mean, we're already in July, so it's going to be either second half of the year or first of next year. So we're coming into the next 12 months of being some damn good music, I think. So
yeah. I think you just nailed it. I think the next, because like you said, we're already midway through July. I think the next calendar year from now, and you and I've made the joke before, it's going to be like someone letting go a kinked garden hose, with the amount of new music we're going to be getting hit with. Because I mean, we literally just talked about Megadeth. We've talked about Avenged Sevenfold. You just mentioned Five Finger Death Punch. We've got Exodus. If I remember right, I think Testament is making some more music. I mean, yeah, Iron Maiden, maybe not. We don't know.
Yeah.
Hell, Metallica's even putting new music together. I mean, who knows if? I mean, of course, with Metallica, who knows if that album is going to come out in the 2020s or if it's going to come out in the 2030s? We have no idea with them.
Lars had that comment that it's moving. What did he say, like a glacier?
Yeah, he said it was. Yeah, he said progress was glacially slow. That's what he said.
But in the past, do we trust Lars when he says anything like that? I mean, because he could be saying that, and then they put out something in December.
Yeah. Right. So yeah. So and I mean, there's Dee Snider. He's got his next solo album coming out in the next. I think within the next month. I think within the next month, his album comes out.
And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I know it's probably going to be hard to imagine, but this one's going to be better than the first one.
I think you could be right. I'm kind of on your side with that opinion.
From what I've heard so far, man, it's just I'm just like, damn, this dude is still like kicking out some heavy shit.
He is. He is still killing it.
And I remember I had
still killing it.
The first album, Twisted Sister album I ever owned was Under the Blade. I think that was called. But that was like way before all the We Want to Rock and and the We're Not Going to Take It stuff. It was before all that.
Before they blew up.
Yeah, before they mainstreamed and everything. So, and like if you go back and listen to that, I'm pretty sure that was the name of the album. I'd have to go back and look. But actually, I have it on cassette because that's how long ago it was.
Right.
Actually, I think cassettes were like the new thing when I bought that. So
Yeah.
I'm like
May
telling
have
my
been.
age here. So,
Yeah, may have been.
but, but yeah, so man, like some of that stuff back then though, Twisted Sister. Oh man, it was like it was hard.
Yeah.
It was some hard stuff. So
Yeah.
uh, don't sell out D Snyder too short because
Oh hell no. I mean, I mean, the latest single that he just released had Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse,
yeah, yeah,
doing the backing vocals. If that tells you anything at all.
right, right. All right, so we're going to move on. Actually, we're going to move on to another album announcement. At a totally
Sweet.
sold out, yeah, at a totally sold out fan event last night at the Mystic Museum in North Hollywood, California, horror metal titans Ice Nine Kills announced their long-awaited single sequel, The Silver Scream 2: Welcome to Horrorwood. The fresh slice of horror-themed brutality will be released via Fearless Records on Friday, October 15th. The first single to be unleashed from the album is Hip to Be Scared. It was featuring Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach. If you haven't checked that out, definitely run over and check that out. It's pretty intense. So the accompanying music video was premiered at the fan event last night and pays homage to the landmark movie based on the Bret Easton Ellis novel American Psycho, centered around psychotic investment banker Patrick Bateman. Hip to Be Scared mixes the soaring choruses, clever lyrics. Oh God, I can't talk today. Clever lyricism. God, heavy riffs and Broadway light theatrics that are as much Hamilton as they are horror. The song also tips its hat to an 80s pop classic beloved by the murderous protagonist. Speaking on his band's newly announced album, Ice Nine Kills frontman and driving creative force Spencer Charnas shared, quote, true to horror franchise tradition, there is always a sequel. Welcome to Horrorwood, end quote. Follows in the bloody footsteps of its predecessor, paying tribute to 13 more of the most gruesome tales to ever grace the silver screen. In this latest Ink offering, the last album and video series is portrayed as a work of fiction. The new storyline thrust the band into a brutal real world slaying. The only traces of the crime are 13 songs left behind by the suspected killer. We can't wait to share this next chapter with you and to welcome you to the sinister state of mind that will soon be known the world over as Horrorwood. The first stop on the tour is 1980s New York City's Greed is Good scene, where a certain hotshot investment banker has a rather violent, dirty secret. A sequel of franchise proportions to the number one Billboard hard rock album, The Silver Scream. The Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood, doubles down in the pursuit of the anthemic band's cinematic muse. Decadent, devious, and fiercely insane with sardonic wit to spare, Ice Nine Kills celebrate pop culture's darkest edges, mining the cinephile library's worth of B-movie schlock and iconic horror on the Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood, and its prequel, The Silver Scream. The creative marriage made in hell of music and fiction began in earnest with the Boston-based band's top 5 hard rock U.S. album, Every Trick in the Book, which brought the previous 3 records' themes to new levels with literary immersed tracks. Helpless teens, unhelpful authorities, supernatural forces, mass killers, and final girls abound in the shocking blood-soaked songs of the Silver Scream. Each piece focused on a different horror classic, including The American Nightmare, which was A Nightmare on Elm Street, Thank God It's Friday, Friday the 13th, Stabbing in the Dark, Halloween, and It Is the End from, of course, It. For 2020's Undead and Unplugged live from the Overlook Hotel EP, the band recorded in the location used in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, the inspiration behind Enjoy Your Sleigh, featuring Kubrick's grandson, Sam. The Silver Screen 2, Welcome to Horrorwood, saw guitarist Ricky Armelino and Dan Sugarman, bassist Joe Occhiuti, and drummer Patrick Galante and Charnas returned to produce, and collaborator Drew Folk as I Lay Dying in A Day to Remember, who produced and mixed The Silver Screen, which spawned U.S. radio success in the form of top 10 mainstream rock single A Grave Mistake and top 20 hit single Savages. Ice Nine Kills' synergy of music and lifestyle draws favorable comparisons to Slipknot and Rob Zombie, and saw them become recent recipients of the prestigious Clio Award for Music Marketing for their Merry Xmas mobile game. Visionary trailblazers and multimedia con- I can't say that word. Racketeers. Is that right?
I don't know. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Inc. built a thrilling world for a growing legion of devoted true believers with theatrical shows, high concept videos, and inventive band to fan communion. With 1.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify and 402 million career streams, a combined social media reach of over 950K, over 70 million views on YouTube, and the band are firmly cemented as one of the modern metal's most vicious forces. Ice Nine Kills will return to UK September at Slam Dunk Festival, the band's first UK shows in 2 years since their hugely successful sold out 7 date headline run in 2019, which concluded with a show stopping performance at London's O2 Academy, Islington. Kerrang hailed it as a master class in expertly executed concept and theatrics, while Metal Hammer described Ice Nine Kills shows as an expertly crafted, unmissable theatrical experience. That was from Blabbermouth, though, even though they mentioned two other magazines. But so Ice Nine Kills have already announced that they're putting out that their next album. Was it when did they say October 15th? Yeah, October 15th. So they announced that, released a single. So if you haven't followed Ice Nine Kills, they are very creative in the sense that their songs match up with a lot of the movies or books that they're actually writing about. So it's pretty cool to see some of that stuff in a different light, I guess. In a video, packing all that into a 4 minute video is a lot different than a 2 hour movie. So,
True. Yeah. And
but I
I
know, like,
haven't.
I know
No, go
Spencer
ahead.
Charnas also is like big into. He's actually started on his own horror movie, so kind of want to see how that turns out too. So he may wind up being in the footsteps of Rob Zombie and Dee Snider and all those that have done
Yeah, could be.
horror movies in the past. So.
Yeah, and I hadn't had a chance to actually to see the new video yet, but I saw the thumbnail that was in the story. With them all dressed up and
Yeah,
they're all GQ'd out in their suits and everything. And I guess it was the lead singer holding that axe. And then when
yeah,
I saw the title of when I saw the title, "Hip to Be Scared," I was like, "That's Huey Lewis in the News. It's got to be."
yeah.
I knew it like right away. I knew it. It had
Uh,
to be.
I'm sure it was a play on a little bit. So
Well, the funny thing is and you were reading the story talking about American Psycho and
hmm
Patrick Bateman and everything, and I'm sure you've seen that movie. I've seen it.
oh
I
yeah.
haven't seen it in a while, but during one of the scenes of the movie, he's actually listening to that song, "Hip to Be Square" by Huey Lewis.
Oh right, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
his. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
that
gotcha.
song is in the movie. So yeah, it was a very clever play on
Yeah,
words, which is
yeah.
like you said, it's the kind of the one of the running themes of their music.
hmm
So as soon as I saw that, I was like, "That's Huey Lewis in the News. It's got to be." And then obviously you reading the story talking about American Psycho and Patrick Bateman, and yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it makes it even more clever as far as I'm concerned. I
It's
like it very much.
it's crazy because like a lot of the fans like are giving them shit about what they're doing, but it's kind of like we talked about Slayer before, and we talked about Araya saying that um, if I have to put a pentagram on every album to sell it, that's what I want to do. And I think that's where you're at. You're okay. This is what's making you money. This is what this is where you're at. So why would you go backwards at this point? I don't understand why everybody's so mad about what they're doing because they're like I said, everything they're doing is pretty clever. I think so.
Well, it is clever, and it's something unique to them. It's kind of
Right.
like yeah. So I mean, they're not ripping anybody off.
Exactly.
They're not copying anybody else's style. So I don't know why they would be getting any backlash. It's like Sabaton. Sabaton. Everything that Sabaton does has to do with war, whether it be
Hmm.
war in general
Right.
or the songs being about a specific battle or just you know whether it's something general or whether it's something specific.
Hmm.
Sabaton does everything war related, and
Right.
no, as far as I know, they haven't gotten any backlash from that. It's their thing. It's how they structure their songs and their albums, and it works for them. I think, and I've said it before, I think Sabaton is criminally underrated in this country, not so much in Europe because that's where they're from, but over here they're just not as popular. But you know,
So I don't
if
know if you've
if
heard. I don't know if you've heard a lot of older Einstein kills, but if you ever listen to like the older stuff, you would. I mean, me and you have similar taste, of course, but
Mhm.
you would be in the same position I'm in. I did not like them until Every Trick of the Book. They had a couple of songs on that album before. I can't even remember the name of the album before that. Shit, I'm going blanked on me. But the album before that had a couple of good songs on it, but it still was more. So they went from Band's Warp Tour to Hellfest is what they've done. So if that tells you
Gotcha.
anything, so if that tells you
Yeah.
anything, they were pretty much the trying to compare like a Simple Plan type band
Hmm.
to what they are now. So
Right.
and I'm much rather listen to what they are now. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm not into the punk skateboarding type music, but
Right. Yeah. No, me neither. Yeah. No. And I haven't heard nearly as much of Ice Nine Kills as you have. I would say you're definitely a much bigger fan than I am. But I don't even know if I've even heard any of their earlier stuff. But so I mean, you would know better than I would. But still, regardless of what their early influences were or their early musical composition was, I think if they found a musical direction and they grabbed on to a niche that works for them, I think they should just stick with it.
right,
Backlash be
exactly.
damned. Backlash be
Yeah,
damned.
yeah. Well, like I said, it's the backlash is from the people that liked them when they first came out, and yes, they have changed sound, but I think they've changed for the better, in my opinion. And of course,
Right.
I think a lot of other people would agree with that too. But yeah, there's people that like that style of music, and to see a band go from that to what they are now, they feel like they're losing a band that they like to listen to. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they don't like the harder stuff like we do.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
If that
you're
if
you're
that makes
never. Yeah. No, I mean, you are never going to hear me complain about a band getting heavier
sense. Yeah,
ever.
yeah. We never heard anything and be like, man, that's too hard.
Yeah. No. No. No, I don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I haven't listened to anything and be like, they need to pull back a little bit. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
that's I don't think that's ever happened.
Hey, speaking of new stuff and hard stuff, if you have not heard that new Trivium song, oh my fucking god!
I was actually just about to bring that up, because your wife posted that new video on the Metalheads Unite Facebook page yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to watch it until after I got home from work yesterday, and
Mhm.
like you just said, holy shit balls, what a song!
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I know they just put out an album,
hmm,
maybe maybe a year and a half ago, which you and I both very much liked.
right.
But if this is a prelude to what the next album is going to sound like, it's going to blow the doors off of the one that they
I
just
think I,
came out
I
with.
think I read where this is just going to be an EP. I think that's what I
Still,
read. Yeah, yeah. Still, I mean,
I mean, holy shit, man!
I'll take 5 Trivium songs any day.
If they're like
just
that,
like, just
yes,
like just like I'll take 3 Machine Head songs any day. So,
yeah, you're damn Skippy. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The short film that went along with it was really good too. But I
hmm.
mean, I was totally. I mean, as soon as the music kicked in, I was hooked.
Yeah, this was definitely a week of more or less a week of singles being released than it was
Hmm.
albums. Oh my! I mean, there were so many good songs that came out this week.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the new music that came out this week was it was either actually the music that came out this week was predominantly re-releases. There were
Mm-hmm.
a few. I think there were a few live albums sprinkled in there, but there really wasn't a whole lot of brand new
Yeah,
music that was
there
released this week.
was.
So that actually made it. It actually made the album review process a little more difficult because the one that I was looking forward to the most. You know, obviously you and I know which one we're talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
don't want to spoil it because it got pushed back. Got pushed back till next week. So I was looking for it. And I was like, where the hell did it go? And then, you know, doing a little bit of digging, I found out that it got pushed back till next
Mm-hmm.
Friday. So, you know, a short list got even shorter. So I know that I'm obviously not without spoiling it because we'll get to it here in just a little bit. But you found one that you ended up doing, and it took me a little longer than even you were able to find one. It took me even longer, but I actually did end up finding one album that I was able to listen to in its entirety that I was able to do a review on. But this was probably the most difficult week as far as finding a
Yeah,
brand
yeah,
new,
this has been pretty
as far as finding a brand new LP to download and listen to get a review put together. So
good.
yeah, this one was tough, but I think that new Trivium release made it all worth it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We have a winner for sure. All right, let's see. All right, sticking with blabbermouth.net for one more. And this is a story that I posted in the Metalheads Unite Facebook page earlier this week. But for those who aren't at the Metalheads Unite Facebook page yet, first of all, shame on you. What the hell's taking you so long? And and for two, I can't not share this with you guys because it's just too good. A New Zealand mother has reportedly named her three children Metallica, Slayer, and Pantera. The news of the unidentified woman's choice of names for her kids was first broken by New Zealand journalist and documentary filmmaker David Ferrier, who put out Netflix's Dark Tourist. Proud to report that a New Zealand mother has named her children Metallica, Pantera, and Slayer, Ferrier wrote on his Twitter. She told me, quote, "It's not easy raising three of the heaviest bands." Ferrier went on to say that he has seen the birth certificates of all three kids and admitted that he was initially suspicious, especially after noticing that Metallica had a middle name of And Justice for All in honor of the band's fourth album.
Oh my
I
god.
reached out to the Registrar General himself, asking if there are any restrictions naming babies after bands or albums, Ferrier wrote. New Zealand Registrar General Jeff Montgomery answered that there are no restrictions on naming babies after bands or albums as long as the word used is not generally considered to be offensive or does not resemble an official rank or title. Ferrier shared a photo of the woman and included the following message, quote, "I think it's important to note, as you can see in the photo in my article, this mother is also a big fan of crossbows, which are also truly metal, and she deserves our complete and utter respect for this and for raising three kids. According to Good Housekeeping, very few baby names in the United States are actually forbidden, with naming laws set by each state and some states having more requirements than others. In other countries, however, there are much stricter naming laws, with some requiring parents to choose from a pre-approved list of names, that sounds like Germany, or petition
Yeah.
the government to add a name to the list. Most U.S. states prohibit using baby names with numerals in it, obscenities, and some states have character limits for the first name. I did not know that. Character limits for the first name?
Yeah, I
I had
didn't
no
either. That's
friggin' idea. Let's see. So yeah, so there's a more than one Metallica, Slayer, and Pantera running around.
oh wow.
And I could, as soon as I saw this story, after I got done, after it took me about a minute and a half to stop laughing about it, I could picture, the one of the kids getting in trouble, and then the mother just running around the house going Slayer when she gets all pissed off, and then somebody walking by the house going fucking Slayer, not knowing what the hell she's
Yeah.
talking about. So yeah, so yeah, hats off to that mother. That was too
Yeah.
good not to share.
Yeah.
Too good not to share.
Yeah. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, it is ballsy.
I mean, who in the hell's going to mess with your kids with names like that though? I mean,
Yeah. Of course, you know the way the world works, in its cruel twist of fate and ironic way. Um, I'd be willing to bet that not one of the three kids ends up being a metalhead when they grow up.
probably not. Yeah. 'Cause you can't control that part, unfortunately.
Right. You
You
can't
can
control that
try.
part, but
I mean, you can try. But
yeah. Yeah.
all right. Well, let's move on to another story here. This one's from Loudwire. Let's just keep this new music announcements keep rolling. How about
Yeah.
that?
Let's do it. I like that.
So Fozzy have a new record underway, and Chris Jericho is so confident in the strength of its songs that he's compared it to Def Leppard's Hysteria. A lot of tracks are worthy of becoming chart-topping singles, according to the frontman. Jericho confirmed to Loudwire Nights host Tony Gonzalez. No, not the tight end from
Oh,
Kansas
yeah. Okay. I
City.
was going to say the tight end. Yeah. All right.
That the album is in fact done, and jokingly called it Chinese Fozzyocracy because they started working on it over 2 years ago. However, all 12 songs are mixed, mastered, and pretty much ready to go. They've also decided on a title, but the one task they have left is to come up with the cover art. It's just a matter of when do we release it now? Jericho said. The structure of how Sony Music releases albums material is different to where they're focusing on singles. The first single, Nowhere to Run, came out in September of 2019, followed by Sane, which was released in May of this year.
Good
I
song.
think the idea in another 3 or 4 months when Sane kind of peaks is to put out another single and keep going for that. He explained, and I think the record will come out when I think everything is not back to normal, but we didn't want to put out a record when we couldn't tour on it, which is what a lot of bands have said. You know, they don't want to
Right.
put an album out they can't tour because I mean, touring is where they make their money. So,
Yeah,
um,
which also kind of, echoes back to the sentiment we just talked about a little bit ago about how Jason and I both think that the next 12 to
oh yeah,
maybe 15 months is just going to be an ungodly amount of new music, because
mm-hmm,
there are bands that we didn't even talk about who, even before everything shut down because of COVID, they already either had albums that were done or that were halfway done. There was they were in some sort of stage of completion, and everyone was like, well, there's no point in putting it out or completing it until we can go out on the road. So,
mm-hmm,
now that tours and festivals are starting to be rescheduled, I just think there's just going to be an insane amount of new music coming out all
right.
at once. I think the market is just going to be flooded with it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And now that we're going on tour, I would say that it's probably going to come out very soon, maybe toward the end of the year, maybe the beginning of the next year. Reflecting on the success of the singles from Fozzy's previous two albums, Do You Want to Start a War and Judas, Jericho believes that the upcoming effort will exceed it, calling Sane a strong example of its overall sound. All of these songs you could hear on the radio. It's almost like we have another Hysteria where we could release eight singles from this album if we wanted to. He added. Man, that's a bold statement for one.
I
I
was I
mean,
was gonna I was gonna say, yeah.
that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays
Yeah, yeah.
out.
Would see any of the videos on ESPN 8 the
Uh,
Ocho.
right, but we were talking when you were talking about that with the bands, waiting on tour or whatever. Think about how many albums came out right when this shit hit that we were
Hmm.
like dying. We were talking about how Testament, Warbringer, and Havoc all came out with albums like right at the same time, and I said, man, that would be a hell of a tour, you
Yeah,
know. And so those albums came out and they were never able to tour on them. So
right.
I mean, the only good thing is nobody's heard a lot of those songs live. So so you still got that to go off of, but
True.
it's still kind of depressing that they had all that and weren't able to do anything with it.
Right. Yeah. But like you said, that was a pretty, I mean, if you're gonna aim, you might as well aim high. But coming out and
Right.
name dropping, a hysteria on everybody. Oh boy, you're you're
I think
you're
that
you're
big like
you're setting the bar
so
really high.
so just to put this out there, at the time Hysteria came out and they had 7 videos from that album.
Hmm.
But if you go back to that time, which I mean, we can't like say anything now because they keep making money and people keep buying albums after the fact. But at the
Right.
time they released the 7th video, Bon Jovi's which one was it? Oh my God, it was the I think it was the New Jersey album.
Hmm.
Uh, it came out right at the same time, and that album actually I take that back. It was Slippery When Wet. I believe it was Slippery When Wet. So they only had 5 songs from that album, but they had pretty similar sales. So
Right.
making videos doesn't really mean that you're doing anything different than anybody else. But
Right.
just to put that just to put that out there. But
yeah,
if you
because I
got
mean, it's you,
if you got
because
songs,
it's,
you got 7 singles off of an album, 14-song album. I mean, half your album's already released as singles. That's pretty impressive. So
yeah. Yeah. And as far as the videos go, I mean, if it's your music, you can make as many videos as you
yeah,
want. They're
you're
not
paying for it.
necessarily gonna, yeah, they're not necessarily gonna equate to success. But the good thing is if you're like, the song Sane, I saw the
Hmm.
video for that single already. You know, the good thing is you can kind of get a barometer, especially nowadays, because you've got YouTube and you've got all that stuff, so you
Right.
can kind of get a barometer for the success of each song by the amount of views it gets. So it's like, okay, I can't remember the name of the first single, but the first single came out and they're like, okay,
Nowhere,
that one
nowhere to
did.
run.
That's right. Yeah. So that one came out and they're like, all right, that one did really well. So what one are we going to do next? And then they decided to do Sane next. And then, they went and they did the video for that one. So you can use each video as a barometer to kind of gauge the direction that the popularity of the album is going to be
Yeah.
headed. So obviously, I don't think when Hysteria came out and when Slippery When Wet came out that there was quite the gauge that we have now,
Right. True.
other than I guess maybe Nielsen ratings as far as MTV goes
Man,
back
maybe.
then, maybe, but nowhere near the like the mass broadcast that you can get now with YouTube and all this other stuff. So I think it'd probably be easier to gauge now, but still, name dropping an album like Hysteria, that's like you said, that's a pretty bold move. But if you're going to aim, you may as well aim high.
Yeah. Yeah. Not saying anything bad on Fosse. I just think that's a
No, no, no,
bold
not
move to
trying to
say
do
that.
that at all.
Yeah, mate, to say that you got 8 out. I think a lot of albums have 8 songs. They could be singles. I mean, I could probably,
Sure.
we could probably talk about the Trivium album that we were just talking about
Mhm.
earlier, and I
Yeah.
could see where maybe every song but 2 on that album could have been a single, a number one single somewhere. So
Yeah. Yeah. You could make the case for sure. Yeah. But I mean, regardless of how many singles they actually do and they end up putting out, because like I say, 2 have come out so far. It's gonna be another album worth listening to, because I
oh,
really,
yeah,
I
most
really,
definitely.
I really liked Sane. And
Yeah.
if that is kind of the overall musical direction that they're going in, then I think Fozzie's really, they're
Mhm.
definitely maturing with every album.
Yeah.
And Chris Jericho is definitely not lacking in self-confidence.
Right.
he
Of
never
course
has.
not.
He
Of
never
course.
has.
Uh,
You know.
but like I think the bold statement to me in that whole story was that he said it was going to exceed Judas, which that's a bold statement to me in itself because Judas was
Hmm.
a phenomenal album.
Yeah.
And I mean when you got people singing the lyrics to your song during your intro of wrestling, that's a pretty big thing to have happen.
Yeah, and that particular thing that you're talking about, because for those of you who don't watch wrestling, um, the song Judas is Chris Jericho's entrance theme, and it got so big that because normally once a wrestler comes out and they get to the ring, they cut off,
Oh yeah,
they cut off the music and they start the match. But that got so big that Chris Jericho actually walks to the ring a little slower, and they actually let his entrance music play all the way through the first chorus, because the crowd got so into singing the lyrics that
yeah.
they basically had to extend Chris Jericho's entrance to the ring, because the song Judas got so popular as his entrance theme.
Yeah, but how amazing is that though that you wrote that song and then you're wrestling, of course, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
coming out to that song and then people are singing your song to your entrance. I mean, how many
Yeah,
people could say that? I mean, I
I
mean, there's
don't
there's
think any.
anybody. I mean, right?
Yeah, I don't think
So
anyone else can
so to
say
put
that.
this, so I can see this in a perspective. I guess like it's amazing to me because I came out when I wrestled. I came out to Non-Point Bullet with a Name. That was my song for
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years, um, and like that's not my song. and I do not wrestle in front of thousands and thousands of people every day like Jericho does. But
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing when I went out and people were singing my song before I ever hit the curtain, and I was like, man, this guy
Yeah.
is doing 10 times or 1,000 times that because it's his shit. It's
Yeah.
his song he wrote. He sings. And it's his character going out to his song with everybody singing. I'm just like, man, it's. I mean,
Yeah.
I would blow me away if that happened to me. Of course,
Well, and you,
like you said, Jericho's a guy that is probably feeding off of that.
well, you can definitely, you can, I mean, I don't know how old Chris Jericho is,
I think he
anymore.
is 48 or 9, something like
Yes. I
that.
mean,
So he's
he's
pushing
been,
50.
yeah, he's been wrestling a long time, but
Hmm.
you can see, he's gotten to the, and like I say, he's never been lacking in confidence, but at the same
No,
time, he's getting to that age where, you can tell that he appreciates it, and the moment is not lost on him. Like exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I'm a wrestler, but I'm also, you know, uh, the lead singer in a heavy metal band, and the song that I wrote and recorded and everything is what I used to. The moment is not lost on him, and you can see it in his face, which
right.
is good. He, at
I
least
think maybe
he at least appreciates it.
right. I think maybe the first time it happened, it was kind of surreal for him. But I think
Yeah.
after that, I think he kind of like he just embraced it and then kind of fed off of it, which is kind of what
Hmm.
you have to do. If not, then you're you, I almost say like the first time that would have happened if you got butterflies, but I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, and I'm not your Chris Jericho, of course. So, uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, that multi. I always said Chris Jericho is probably one of the hardest working guys. We talk about how Max Cavalera and Phil Anselmo and uh, you know crap, what's his name?
Mike
Portnoy.
Portnoy.
Yeah, so we talk about those guys being in like 50 different bands or whatever, but
Yeah.
Jericho does three or four different things, not just in the same realm. He's
Hmm.
wrestling. He's I think he's got a new book about to come out. He's doing a podcast,
Yeah.
and he's doing music. So I mean, this guy, I seen him. I see him like I follow him on Instagram or something. I seen where he had took his kids to Disney World or whatever, and I'm like, when the hell did you find time to do that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, kudos to him, man. Like, he's definitely definitely stretching himself thin, but I mean, it's paying off. So
Yeah. Well, I think he was probably able to find time to get to Disney World because, AEW, they were in Jacksonville for 14 months
true,
straight.
yeah, true.
So that's probably the only reason why he was able to find time, because I mean, basically all the wrestlers were in Florida for a little over a year anyway.
Hmm.
So now that they're back and they're actually starting to be on the road and tour again with AEW, I guarantee you that his calendar is going to be a little more crowded. So he was probably only able to get to Disney World because AEW wasn't touring the country. They were stationed in Jacksonville for the past 14 months.
So
That's
so was
probably the only silver lining there.
yeah, but was Disney not did Disney not have to shut down during the pandemic or
They did, but I'm wanting to say, and I would obviously have to look, but I'm wanting to say that they opened back up a little while ago. Of course, the funny thing is the state of I think the state of Florida was the first state to completely open back up.
yeah? Hmm.
Completely. Because like the Stanley Cup playoffs just ended, and uh, Tampa Bay and Montreal, they were in the finals.
Hmm.
Tampa Bay, I mean, they had a sold out building. They were allowed to have full capacity. All the fans were back in the stands. So, the arena down in Tampa was completely full. But up in Montreal, they were still only allowed 3,500 people maximum in the building, and everybody else who wanted to show up to the stadium, they had to watch the game outside, which is stupid because they would show video feeds of the crowd
Yeah,
outside,
they're going to be
and
crowded up
and they
together
and they were
anyways.
yeah they were shoulder to shoulder, people deep behind a barricade, but they
Yeah,
weren't
but I
allowed
guess that,
in
that
they
takes
weren't allowed in the building. So
yeah, but that probably
that
takes
was
a
weird.
lot of
But,
responsibility off of the venue though if they do it that way. So
well, I mean, that may be, but so I
so I
think
take
yeah,
it
I
so
think
I take it
Florida was
Tampa,
the first state to open back up.
so I take it Tampa won.
Yeah, Tampa Bay won in 5 games. They
Okay.
so they
So
won
it was two and
back to back
two.
titles.
Yeah, back to back. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
back
So,
to back for them. But yeah, the so like I say, Tampa's building was completely full. I would have to look and I'd have to see when Disney opened back up, but I think it was towards the end of the spring, the beginning of summer. They opened up with restrictions, and then I don't know when they got back to full capacity, but Disneyland at full capacity, you're talking probably like 100,000 people a day in that place, if
oh
not
yeah,
more.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
So let's see. All right. I actually have. I'm gonna keep the new music train rolling here myself.
Awesome.
This is over at metalsucks.net, and this isn't like a brand new announcement. This is kind of like a little bit of a follow up. We've
Hmm.
talked about this before, but in a new chat with Kerrang, Avenged Sevenfold singer M Shadows lamented how fans often latch onto small bits of quotes and blow them out of proportion. Quote: "The reason we don't say much about the music," he said, "is because we find that every single word we say about it just gets spun off. So of course, end quote. So of course we're going to do just that." And there's no another quote. Sorry, and there's no way to describe music. It's like, oh, it's heavy, it's fast. What are we going to say about it? He continued, and then he said this: "It's a work of art that we've worked on for a long time. We had a bunch of personal things that we'll explain later, but we're booking shows for next summer, and the record will be out before then. Avenged Sevenfold's new album will be out before next summer, at which time the band will tour. What other way can we possibly interpret those words? Even for scummy clickbait trash like Metal Sucks, there's not much to twist. A new album would be the band's first since The Stage was released in October of 2016. As of February of this year, they said they were 70% done with it, and as of March, they said they were still in the studio. Shadows described the new material as over the top, eclectic, and wild. Should the band tour in 2022, it will also be the end of a lengthy hiatus. They haven't performed live since the first half of 2018, after which previously booked summer shows that year were canceled due to Shadow's vocal infection. In October of last year, the band said the following as part of a longer update to the fans. Quote, "We don't feel comfortable working on an album this long and then releasing it with no tour in sight," as Jason and I have alluded to in the
Hmm.
past. "Part of the music we make needs to be expressed through live interaction. While we appreciate the artists who are attempting live streams and other events, it just isn't the way we are choosing to roll this thing out. All of this may change in the future. We are going through this with all of you and feel frustrated as well. The wait is almost over, sort of. Stay tuned. I'm sure there will be all sorts of updates from the band before too long." So again, the headline here over at Metal Sucks is Avenged Sevenfold new album before summer of 2022. So
Hmm.
again, just another name to add to the long list of
So,
artists that we expect to have new music out over the next 12 months.
I had pulled that story too, but I pulled it from Metal Injection, and he actually did say he revealed in an interview on Louder Than Life Festival's Twitch channel that it would definitely be out before the summer of 2022. So,
Yeah. So that yeah, within the next 12
and
months. Yeah.
and then he said he also mentioned that the band already had tours lined up in support of the album. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they're already deep into the support and all that. So, I mean, it's probably going to be, I would say, probably before end of year. Uh, we should hear new stuff by then anyway. They may not tour until next year, but I think we'll hear new stuff before
Yeah.
the end of the year. Also, I wanted to point out that one of the quotes that they had in here, it said the new Event Sevenfold record will be the first since the stage in 2016, which Shadows had previously said the record will be nothing like. And I think me and you both would agree. We hope they
Yeah.
are not. But
Yes. Thankfully.
uh,
Thankfully.
but other than that,
So
you had a lot more on that story than I did. So
yeah. Well, let me just kind of piggyback off that story real quick if I can, because
yeah.
I've got a story at Metal Injection also talking about Avenged Sevenfold, Korn, Judas Priest, and Deftones headline the Resurrection Fest for 2022 in Spain. Spain's Resurrection Fest has been resurrected for 2022, and the lineup is quite insane. Among the headliners are Avenged Sevenfold, Korn, Judas Priest, Deftones, Sabaton, and Bring Me the Horizon. The fest goes down in Galicia, Spain from Wednesday, June 29th, 2022 to Sunday, July 3rd, 2022. And it has the entire bill listed in the article, and I'm not gonna read off every band, but
Right.
it is a pretty insane uh, lineup. So you can check that out at metalinjection.net under the headline in the latest news section at metalinjection.net. But yeah, to piggyback off the story I just talked about as far as new music and them setting up tours, they will be touring in Spain in the summer of 2022. So look forward to that if you're in Spain.
Since we're talking about that, I want to just push this out there real quick because this is coming up next week. Don't forget that the Rock Fest out in Cadott, Wisconsin, is going on next week, the 15th through the 17th. And some of the bands there's Rob Zombie, Stained, Anthrax, Steel Panthers, Saint of Sonia, Fozzy, Nonpoint, Carnifex, Memphis Mayfire, Fire from the Gods, Limp Bizkit, Corey Taylor, Phil Anselmo and the Illegals, Bad Flower, Mice and Men, All That Remains, Tommy Vex, Blacktop Mojo, Crowbot, Corn, Danzig, Chevelle, Body Count, Prop Evil, We Came as Romans, Gemini Syndrome, Bad Omens, and let's see, Thursday or Wednesday night they have a special on the 14th where look like some 80s stuff going on here. Queensryche, Slaughter, Stitched Up Heart, Royal Bliss. So yeah, so that's a pretty good little festival too. It's also hosted by Lou Brutus. If
Oh,
you're out,
nice.
yeah, if you're out in that area, go check that out.
But
So
if
that's
you're gonna
I think
go,
that may be
if
the
you're gonna go,
I think it'll
go
be the
ahead.
first festival of the year that I know of that's actually taking place. So,
Yeah. And the cool thing is Limp Biscuit's on the bill, so everyone can go to the bathroom while they're playing.
yeah, well, they're actually on the festival I'm going to too, but
That astounds me. That I mean, you know, I will full disclosure here. I do have like 3 or 4 of Limp Bizkit's CDs downstairs. I was a fan of their early stuff. So I mean, I'm going to talk shit about them now because it's 2021. But
right,
I will confess that I was a fan of their early stuff. Their early stuff actually was pretty good, but they got really really cheesy really really fast.
yeah.
And it still just kind of amazes me that they are getting booked with on as many of these festivals as they are. But I mean, good for them. Good
Well,
for
I
them
mean,
to be able to
the,
still go out there and play. But
I
like
mean,
I
the thing
say,
with the thing with the festivals is they have to get a good mix of music. You have to get the metalcore and the death metal and the speed metal and thrash and
sure,
so on and so
yeah,
they got to get a
yeah,
little bit of
absolutely,
everything in there. To attract 160,000 people, which
that's
is
true.
what the one that I'm going to, Blue Ridge, was actually 160,000 tickets, and they actually sold out. So
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah,
so
that bill for that festival is insane.
yeah, they're
I
talking
th-
about already adding more camping, and they've already released that they're going to do it again next year. So
yeah,
I mean,
maybe
they have
maybe
to
next
at this point.
maybe
So
yeah, maybe next year I'll actually be able to go with you.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. Like I
But
said, a lot of times, like I don't go like Louder Than Life is a great festival. Don't get me wrong, and it's sorry, and it's closer to home, but I don't like the venue. It's at a fairgrounds, so it got kind of windy when I was there, so you kind of dusty and that kind of thing. So it was really hot and sticky and uncomfortable when you're hot and sticky and got dirt on you
mhm.
from so it was a little uncomfortable for a couple of not saying anything bad because I mean I think they're in a better spot than they were because they the year before that I went they had to cancel because it flooded. So they didn't, they had to go somewhere where they weren't having to cancel for flooding. But like I said, it's like the venue there was a lot better than the one in Ohio, the Sonic Temple. I did not like that venue at all. It was inside a soccer stadium, so and then one of the stages were two of the stages were actually outside, and they had the one main stage inside. So by the time you got outside, you weren't you were barely able to get close enough to even see anything going on. So it was
Yeah.
it was it was really inconvenient. I think I like the layouts where they're just like all on flat land and you can just walk back and forth, and yeah, it was just to me, it was just kind of inconvenient having to go in and out of a stadium, and then you couldn't go back to where you were sitting before if you left. So,
Right. You
so
definitely got to pick your spots. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and I mean, if everybody you want to see is not on that main stage, though, I mean, you're not going to sit in there and just not go to see who you came to see. I mean, that's what we do. We usually track out once we get the schedule. We'll track out. Okay, we're going to see this one and this one and this one. And if it's like say, not saying anything bad about any band, but in this moment it was over here, and then say you know a Slipknot's on this side, then I'm going to see Slipknot because for one, I've seen
Hmm.
that in this moment like 5 or 6 times already. So I'm going to go to see the band I haven't seen the most. Um,
Right.
you know, that's
That was actually one of the good things about the Oz fests that I was able to go to.
uh-huh.
I ended up going to three separate ones up in Nashville back when Starwood Amphitheater was open.
Right. That's
And
one of them.
shout out to Starwood Amphitheater. We miss you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they had, obviously the main stage was the amphitheater, but
Right.
you know, I know you remember. I don't know if anybody else listening had ever been to Starwood up there in Nashville, but you had the pavilion with the seats.
Mm-hmm.
You had that main walkway. Then you had the grassy area that went up the hill, and then you had the back wall at the very very top of the hill right back there. And then for the Ozfest, behind that back wall at the top of the hill is where the second stage was. But they had enough staircases to where you could easily walk up the hill to get behind the wall to go up to the second stage area. You could easily get back and forth up and down the hill from the main pavilion to the second stage to see whoever it was that you wanted. And obviously, with a bill like the Ozfest, with the amount of bands that they had, it seemed to work out. It was basically the exact same setup you were talking about. There was music going at the same time. There were bands
Right.
on the main stage under the pavilion, and then the
Right.
second stage was going simultaneously. So the three that I went to, I don't know if it was luck or what, but I basically got to see every band I wanted to see at all three of those Ozfests, whether they were on the second stage or whether they were on the main stage. They didn't have all the headliners on the main stage and all the new acts on the second stage. They mixed it up a little bit. I in the last one that I went to, I actually went to with my wife and a friend of ours at the time. We saw Slipknot and Lacuna Coil and Devil Driver on the second stage, and I can't even remember all the bands on the bill at this point. But so we got to see those guys earlier in the day, and then we got to see all the headliners we wanted to see on the
Mm-hmm.
main stage. So it may have just been luck that that's how it ended up for us, especially with that amount of people. You get the mix of people who like different bands, but so Starwood had a great setup for the music festivals.
Mm-hmm. All
But
right.
yeah, the venue makes a big difference.
It does, yeah. So we'll see how this one works out. Like I like going to different festivals every year, just because I like to go to new places for one, and then to go to states I've never been to. So maybe
Sure.
I'll pack up and go to Wisconsin next year to that one or something. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll do a couple of real quick ones here, and then I'll turn it back over to you. I
Okay.
got,
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
yeah, Lamb of God vocalist Randy Blythe has started writing a new book to follow his 2015 memoir, Dark Days. The musician revealed this week that he had completed the proposal, secured a publishing deal, and already started writing a preface for the upcoming publication. But the book may or may not be autobiographical. As was Dark Days, in an announcement that was also discussed in the process of writing and making art overall. The Lamb of God rocker would only confirm that it's nonfiction. Whether that means it will cover his life or something else factual seemingly won't be revealed until later. Um, Quote, it's been 6 years since my first book, Dark Days, came out. Blythe began in an Instagram post on Thursday, July 8th. I've been kind of busy, but I can't screw around any longer. It's finally time to write a new one. The proposal is done. The publishers accepted it, and the contract is hammered out and in the mail, end quote. He continued, quote, shit, that means I actually have to write this thing. All that and All I'll say is this: A, it's another nonfiction book, and B, I just spent over 2 weeks utterly consumed by writing the freaking introduction. 2,296 words in 15 days. That's not a lot, but I want it to be right. Elsewhere in the message, Blythe praised the information found in the 2002 nonfiction book, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, a publication previously extolled by many other artists. By most accounts, it serves as a handy guide for overcoming writer's block. If you want to try to be a writer or pursue any sort of art, but you're too intimidated to start, buy this book, the Lamb of God member added. I can't recommend it highly enough. Read it, do what it says, then sit your ass down in a chair and write. You'll find out eventually if you're any good. Last month, Blythe led a hardcore cover version of the Prince song "I Would Die for You." This summer, Lamb of God head out on the metal tour of the year alongside Megadeth, Trivium, and In Flames, which I still haven't got my refund for. Screw you, Ticketmaster. Uh, but
And screw you, Municipal Auditorium, for canceling the Nashville concert.
yeah, well, they canceled. Yeah, they canceled all their concerts. I thought it was just that one,
Yeah.
but kind of found out they canceled a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah.
and then here's a real quick one. We've all been missing a bit of live music since the pandemic, but over in Australia, one plucky musician has decided to take things into his own hands. 2 weeks ago, a scantily clad Slash lookalike caused a ruckus when he performed with his guitar while stood in his driveway. According to our friends over at Guitar World, the man in question is known as Sub Sublet Hammer. His real name is Savas Caruso and is recognized within the local community for his weekly 45-minute sets from outside his abode in Salisbury Downs. As he clutches onto a Les Paul with his amp plugged in and volume naturally turned up to 11, Caruso rips through some seriously heavy guitar rippage before being ambushed by South Australian police following a noise complaint. As the police pull the amp's power and snatch his guitar, Caruso is swiftly arrested for breaching an environmental protection order that was issued to him the day prior to his performance. The notice stated that he was not permitted to perform for a total of 72 hours. The entire altercation was filmed by onlookers who appeared appalled by the police's stern actions, with one bystander calling the incident criminal. After being released following 3 days in custody, the guitarist launched a change.org petition under the name Subs World in order to seek justice over the event. The page reads, quote, "They treated him like a dangerous criminal, all this for a non-indictable offense, a mere noise complaint. The police have no grounds on which to enforce this order, therefore had no authority to come onto the man's property while playing his music and disconnect the power, followed by the shocking physical bombardment they call an arrest of an innocent musician practicing his art." End quote. You can watch that full video over at loudersound.com. That's pretty. That's pretty wild. Out there, just in his actually the pictures I've seen, he was in his underwear. So,
Let the man play his music.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
like
if
they
it's
said,
not two, if it's not 2 a.m, I mean, let him play his music.
yeah, like they said, it was even like wasn't even a misdemeanor offense. So for them to
Yeah.
arrest him over that, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some bigger stuff coming to that. I mean, we won't cover it here, of course, because I just thought the story was funny. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, when you're so fed up, you go out and you play half naked in your driveway. That's pretty fed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. I've got one more story for this week over at metalinjection.net. Original Killswitch Engage vocalist Jesse Leach left the band in 2002 and was replaced by Howard Jones until 2012 when Leach rejoined the band. In an interview with the Talk to Me podcast, Leach said he felt insecure following up Jones as a vocalist because the dude is just way too good. Leach also said he was extremely stoked to team up with Jones on the 2019 Killswitch Engage album Atonement. Quote, "When I initially rejoined, I was super insecure about stepping in after Howard because the dude's got a voice of steel. Let's be real, he's an amazing vocalist. And for me, it took pushing through my insecurity and realizing that I definitely have a unique style. I'm not always on key, I'm a little sloppy, I'm kind of a punk rocker, but my heart and soul is there 100%. So I think for what I might lack in technique, I make up for in just sheer determination to deliver the goods. So for me, it was getting over myself, and the guys had their issues too. Let's be real. It wasn't me. It wasn't me at first. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just happy to be out here doing this. So once all the unspoken shit was said and done and everything was squashed, it kind of popped into my head of like, why are we not doing this? He's back out here doing, he's out. Now I got tongue tied. Sorry. He's back out here doing his thing. At the time, it was Devil You Know. And I was like, dude, he's killing it. And he's putting forth his best efforts and he's not giving up. And I respect the shit out of that. And the fact he got his health in check, which is a whole other thing, it just kind of felt like a no brainer. Leach added later in the interview that he and the whole band are still really close with Jones and that Jones is quote unquote killing it in his new band, Light the Torch, which he absolutely is. The new Light the
Mm-hmm.
Torch album was fantastic.
Yes, it
So,
was.
yeah, Jason, you and I have talked about it before, talking about when Jesse had to leave the band due to his health issues and Howard
Mm-hmm.
came in. Howard obviously is one of our favorite current metal vocalists. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked before about how his voice just seems to get even better with age, and the new Light the Torch album was kind of another example of that. But I can understand how Jesse Leach could have felt like that coming back, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
you told me that when Howard left to go be with Devil now Light the Torch, um, Jesse didn't just get to be like, all right, hey, I used to be in the band, now I get to just come back. He basically had to, like you said, he had to re-audition to
Yeah.
get his job back.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Howard left too because the touring and stuff that they were doing with Killswitch was affecting his blood sugar levels, and he was
Yeah,
diabetic, so that's why he
yeah,
had to leave. It wasn't any animosity with the band. I mean, it was another health issue, but I mean, he did do what 4 albums with Killswitch, I believe.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, he was the biggest part of Killswitch's discography. Uh, so uh, so yeah, I mean, actually, that's why Jesse got hired back was because the one of the songs that they did was "End of Heartbreak," and that was one of the songs they made the people auditioning sing, and Jesse did it, so good in his own way. That's what they
Mm-hmm.
said. They said he did it so good in his own way that they said, "Oh man, we got to hire him back," which is cool. I mean, it's good that they didn't have to. Uh, go with someone they didn't even know. I mean, at least they knew Jesse a little bit, uh,
Yeah,
so it's
and
pretty
it
cool.
then yeah, and they
It's a
didn't,
really good
and
story.
they yeah, it is a good story. Well, I mean, we've talked, like I say, you and I have talked about it before. It's cool because all of the changes that had to happen in that band, going from Jesse to Howard back to Jesse, none of it was. I mean, obviously, you don't want it to be because of health reasons, but
Yeah.
with that being the reason, and it not being anything as far as like animosity or some sort of inner turmoil within the band, you know, they the you know Jesse and Howard were both able to get their health issues in check to where they were able to continue their careers. It
Hmm.
was, you know, all things being equal, and if you can look on the bright side, the good thing is the changes in the vocalists ended up being that the transitions were smooth that needed to be made. Jesse
Right.
had to leave because he had his health issues. Howard came in to take over. Jesse was able to recover from his health issues, and then when Howard had to step back because of his own that he had to get in check, Jesse was able to re-audition and come back, and the transitions that were made were smooth.
Hmm.
Everything was cool between everybody. There was no animosity, and how Howard has been able to collaborate with Killswitch Engage with since Jesse has been back, and I think you've even said that they've played together on tour
Hmm.
and on stage together.
Yeah.
So in a roundabout way, I'm sure if you asked them, the guys in the band, whether it be Killswitch Engage or whether it be Howard Jones, with everything working out the way it did and everybody being back healthy again, if you look at the long game, I mean, I'm sure that they would probably say that with it not obviously not being an ideal situation, that, if things had to happen the way they did, that's how you would have them happen, where everyone can still be friends and they can still work together.
Hmm. All right. I had one more story, but I think I'm just going to save it because it's kind of a something I could put off on next week's show. So I think that's what I'll do. Since
Okay, cool.
we're running into 11:30 already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do that next week, and then
All right.
we'll run into uh, this week in metal history. So
Yeah, let's do that. This Week in Metal History. This Week in Metal History, as always, is brought to you by This Day in Metal over at Twitter and on Facebook. Go check out Metalhead Marv at This Day in Metal on, excuse me, on Twitter or at Facebook. And like I've said before, he is more active on Twitter than he is on Facebook. So,
mhm.
but go give Metalhead Marv some love. We like to do that every week here at the Metalheads Unite podcast. All right, leading off with the tail end of July 3rd. July 3rd, 1982, Demon releases The Unexpected Guest. July 3rd, 1990, Suicidal Tendencies releases Lights, Camera, Revolution. July 3rd, 1995, Mortician releases the EP House by the Cemetery. July 3rd, 1996, Cryptopsy releases None So Vile. And July 3rd, 1989, Midas Touch releases their debut album Presage of Disaster. And then moving ahead to Independence Day, which is kind of weird because Independence Day was last week. But anyway,
Mhm.
July 4th, 1986, Flotsam and Jetsam releases their debut album, Doomsday for the Deceiver.
Mhm.
July 4th, 1984, Messiah releases their debut album, Final Warning. And Evil releases the EP, Evil's Message. And Y&T releases In Rock We Trust, which peaked at number 46 on the Billboard 200. July 4th, 1987, ESP releases their debut album, The Future Is Now. And July 4th, 2005, Blitzkrieg releases Sins and Greed. Moving ahead to the 5th, July 1988 was a hell of a day. Slayer releases South of Heaven, which peaked at number 57 on the Billboard 200. Overkill releases Under the Influence, which peaked at number 142 on the Billboard 200. Death Angel releases Frolic Through the Park, and Cloven Hoof releases Dominator. So that was probably quite the day. Everybody going out and having to buy 3 CDs at least all on one day. People probably went. A lot of people probably on July 5th, 1988. July 5th, 1984, Metal Church releases their self-titled debut album. July 5th, 1989, Virus releases Lunacy. July 5th, 1995, Vader releases De Profundis. July 5th, 1986, Original Sin releases their debut album, Sin Will Find You Out. Moving ahead to the 6th, July 1986, Purgatory releases their debut album Tied to the Tracks, and Quiet Riot releases Quiet Riot 3, which peaked at number 31 on the Billboard 200, and Barren Cross releases their debut album Rock for the King. July 1983, Culprit releases their debut album Guilty as Charged. July 1988, Vengeance Rising releases their debut album Human Sacrifice. July 1999, Rat releases a self-titled album, and Mortician releases Chainsaw Dismemberment. Sounds like a fun weekend.
Yeah.
July 1987, Razor releases Custom Killing. Moving ahead to the 7th, July 1984, Helix releases Walkin' the Razor's Edge, which peaked at number 69 on the Billboard 200, and Icon releases their self-titled debut album. July 1998, Crowbar releases Oddfellows Rest. July 1985, Abattoir, I think that's pronounced, releases their debut album Vicious Attack. July 1988, Necrosis releases their debut album The Search. July 2009, Megadeth releases the single Head Crusher, and Born of Osiris releases their debut album A Higher Place. July 1992, Dream Theater releases Images and Words, which peaked at number 61 on the Billboard 200. July 2008, Blaze Bayley releases The Man Who Would Not Die. July 1986, David Lee Roth releases his debut album Eat 'em and Smile, which peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200. July 1987, Toxic releases their debut album World Circus, and Faster Pussycat releases their self-titled debut album, which peaked at number 97 on the Billboard 200. July 2010, Blind Illusion releases Demon Master. July 2007, Orden Ogan releases Gunman. July 1999, Pessimist releases Blood for the Gods. And July 1995, Sinister releases Hate. Moving ahead to the 8th, July 2014, Judas Priest releases Redeemer of Souls, which peaked at number 6 on the Billboard 200. And Steel Prophet releases Omniscient. July 1994, Halloween releases Masters of the Ring, which peaked at number 23 on the German charts. July 1992, Edge of Sanity releases Unorthodox. And July 1986, Talon releases Vicious Game. Moving ahead to the 9th, July 9th of 2013, Butcher Babies releases their debut album Goliath, which peaked at number 112 on
Yes.
the Billboard 200. Witch Cross releases Axe to Grind, and King Cobra releases King Cobra 2. July 9th, 2001, Ensiferum releases their self-titled debut album. July 9th of 1986, Chainsaw releases their debut album Hell's Burning Up. And July 9th of 1991, soundtrack for Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, music from the motion picture is released. And the only thing I have so far for today's date, July 10th of 2000, Exciter releases Blood of Tyrants. So I'll probably have some more that I'll find after the show today for July 10th. I'll lead off with those next week, but those are the historical releases from July 3rd to July 10th. Over to
Awesome.
you, my
Awesome.
friend.
All right. July 4th of 1990, Paul Stanley from Kiss sustained a neck and back injury when he was involved in a car crash in New Jersey. I guess it wasn't extensive enough to write a song about, like Detroit, but
Right, yeah.
uh, 4th of July 2000, a man fell 80 feet to his death during a Metallica concert at Ravens Stadium in Baltimore. I did not know that. That's actually crazy.
I didn't either.
I'm sure alcohol may have played a part in that,
Probably, yeah.
or an altercation, one or the other. Maybe he was through.
Yeah. Well, that would probably would have been the case if it would have been in Philadelphia.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know about Baltimore. Who knows?
4th of July 2007, former laboratory worker Devin Townsend admitted to a court in Albuquerque, New Mexico, of stalking Chester Bennington, lead singer with Linkin Park. Townsend used U.S. government computers to obtain his personal information, accessing Bennington's email account and mobile phone voicemail. The court was told how she traveled to Arizona solely for the purpose of trying to see the singer and monitored Chester Bennington's voicemails as a means of trying to locate where he might be eating. Man, that's some strange stuff there, man.
Yeah.
Them damn was it Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell, man, they had their share of stalkers.
Yeah, they did.
July 4th, 2012, Bottoms of London announced that Freddie Mercury's black and white Harlequin stage costume had sold for £22,500. Don't remember how that alternates into U.S. dollars, but anyway, it's a lot of money. At their entertainment memorabilia sale, the Harlequin costume was one of Freddie's most recognizable stage designs, which he wore at a number of high-profile concerts in the 70s. Also, a pair of Freddie's ballet pumps exceeded a pre-sale estimate of £1,500 to £2,000, selling for £4,000 to an overseas internet bidder. Freddie had worn the white leather ballet shoes during Queen's legendary Hyde Park performance in 1976. Makes you think that a $1,500 Ramstein hoodie isn't that expensive, I guess.
Well, that's true, but I mean, you also have to. I guess you kind of have to adjust for inflation, but still, that's actually that's actually a good point in the grand scheme of things. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, July 4th, 1982, ex-Black Sabbath lead singer Ozzy Osbourne, at the time was 33. He wedded TV host Sharon Arden, 29, in Maui, Hawaii. And though the Osbournes were born.
Yes, they were.
July 6, 1973, Queen released their debut single, Keep Yourself Alive, in the UK. And get this, the track didn't even make the charts. Imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I put that in there is because I was just amazed that it didn't even chart. I was like,
that's crazy.
July 7th, 1989, it was announced that for the first time, compact discs were outselling vinyl albums, which was, you can see that. I wonder if cassettes were doing any better, though, at that time, because, I mean, we're talking about the 80s, so
yeah,
it was more of a cassette tape era. Yeah. July 7th, 2003, Darkness released their debut solo album, Permission to Land, which topped the UK chart for 4 weeks. 5 singles were released from the album, including I Believe in a Thing Called Love, the most successful, reaching number 2 in the UK singles chart. The band won 3 Brit Awards in 2004 in response to the album: Best Group, Best Rock Group, and Best Album. They also won 2 Kerrang Awards in 2004 for Best Live Act and Best British Band.
And I will say one thing: I absolutely hated that song, I Believe in
I
a Thing
do
Called
too. I
Love.
did too.
God, I hated that song so much. Ugh.
Yeah, I did too. Don't feel.
I mean, good for them for having the success. But me personally,
Yeah,
God, I hated that song.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
it's terrible.
all right, July 7th, 2007, Ozzy Osbourne became the first artist to be honored on Birmingham's own Hollywood-style Walk of Fame. The singer from Aston told more than 1,000 fans on Broad Street that brass paving star meant more to him than any Hollywood accolade. Interesting. Uh, July 8th, 2004, Mark Persglove, known as the world's biggest bootlegger, was sentenced to 3 years, 6 months in jail by Blackfriars Crown Court. Persglove had built up a 15 million pound pirate CD empire by bootlegging live concerts of some of the world's biggest stars. So, he only got 6 months for that, though. It was kind of, figured
Yeah,
that'd be a lot longer for.
yeah, but I'm gonna look up. 15 million pounds is $20,853,735.
Gee, I knew it was more,
Yeah,
in U.S. dollars, but I just didn't know how much more. So.
I had to know.
Yeah, because everything's in pounds on here for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, almost $21 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and they didn't take any of the money from him, so he still got that money, even though he was. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 years and 6 months in jail, but still, I think I could do 3 years, 6 months in jail, knowing I still got $20 million waiting on me.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I think I could too. Yeah.
July
I think I'd make that trade.
Right. July 9th, 2015, Phil Rudd, drummer with AC/DC, was sentenced in New Zealand to 8 months house detention for drug possession and making threats to kill. The court heard how Rudd had fired several employees after the failure of his solo album, Head Job, in August last year, which was 2014. Rudd had also called one victim saying, "I'm going to come over and kill you." His sentence would be served at his beachfront home in Tauranga, with Judge Thomas Ingram warning he would face jail if he breached the conditions. July 10th, 1989, David F. Pearsall, age 18, from Manchester, New Jersey, was charged with theft after stealing a guitar at a concert in Riverfront Park belonging to Richie Sambora of Bon Jovi. Man, there was a lot of thieving in the news.
I actually, yeah, you're right, there is, but I actually remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so thieving and
and I think he actually got his guitar back too.
Bootlegging and all that. Yeah, I think he did.
I think he got it back. Yeah.
So,
well, if they caught him, then yeah, I think he would have got it back. But
right, yeah, that was all the news stories I had for this week in history. So,
if we want hell, that was a decent amount of news, though.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So,
and quite a bit.
I could have added some other stuff, but I was like, yeah.
And quite a bit of stuff actually happened on Independence Day, which is kind of weird. Right. You figure everyone would have kind of
laid back,
taking it easy. Yeah, but no, there was actually a lot more. There was a lot more stuff that happened on July 4th than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So July 9th was the birthdays this week. I had 5 or 6 birthdays on the 9th.
That's true.
And then the 4th was all the news stories. That's what I thought too when I was writing this stuff. I'm like, man, that's a lot of news for
Yeah, for one day, and it being a major holiday. Of course, it's a major holiday here, not really so much in England, but
right,
for obvious reasons.
All right, so here comes the segment of the show where we talk about this week it's 10 power ballads from the 80s. We do different stuff every week. Seeing as we did the 80s this week, let's just do the 90s next week. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we can do that, because actually, I was actually going to suggest that too, because while I was trying to compile my list for this week, I was coming up with songs I was going to add, and then I went and looked at the dates. I was like, "Fuck, 90s, never mind."
Yep, I didn't want to. I ran into a lot of that too. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, so So yeah, so we can actually do that. We can actually do the the '90s power ballads next week. It's actually a good idea. I mean, technically, I've already got a list started. If you want to be honest, because like I say, there were some that
Yeah.
I was going to add to this week's list, but I wasn't able to do that. Um, I will put one restriction on myself for next week. With next week being the '90s power ballads, I'll say right now that I won't include "Nothing Else Matters" and "The Unforgiven." I will take
Okay.
those two songs out because if I add those two songs, that'll be the third list that they will have been on. So I will do that. I will do 10 other '90s power ballads besides those two songs. I will put that restriction on myself. All right. With that being said, I'll go ahead and I'll lead off.
Okay.
Um, again, these are in no particular order. We did decide to knock it back to 10 for this week, which again was harder than you would think to knock it down to 10. But leading off for me, I had "Home Sweet Home" by Motley Crue from 1985. I had "Alone Again" by Dokken from 1984. I had "When the Children Cry" by White Lion from 1987. "Nobody's Fool" from Cinderella, 1986.
Ooh,
"I
that's good.
Remember You" from Skid Row, 1989. "Carrie" by Europe from 1986. "Heaven" from Warrant from 1989. "Still Loving You" by the Scorpions from 1984. "Every Rose Has Its Thorn" by Poison from 1988. And then I had "Close My Eyes Forever," the Lita Ford and Ozzy
Oh,
Osbourne
that's a good
duet
one.
from 1988.
Man, that was
So
good.
so that
Actually,
that was
actually,
my that was
you're
my
not gonna
10.
you're not gonna believe this, but like I think I got at least four of the same songs. It's
Oh
like,
no, I can kind of believe it.
yeah.
I can
I
kind of
actually,
believe it.
I actually like a lot of the songs. With some of these bands, I always kind of like you said Warrant to Heaven, or did you say Heaven?
Yes.
Yeah. So that wasn't my favorite from the album. I actually liked Sometimes She Cries better.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my picks. But yeah, I was just and I didn't put the years down. I apologize, but
Oh
uh,
no, that's fine. That's fine.
uh, Motley Crue, "Home Sweet Home" was also on my list. Tesla "Love Song" was on my list.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good one.
Skid Row, "I Remember You" also. Doc and "Alone Again," which you had as well.
Mm-hmm.
Def Leppard, "Bringing on the Heartbreak," which was one of my
That's
favorite
a great
songs
one.
from Def Leppard. Yeah. Kiss, "Reason to Live." I'm not a big Kiss fan, but I always liked that song. I think I only own a couple of Kiss records, and "Hot in the Shade" and "Revenge." I think is two of my favorites that they put out. So uh, Winger, "Headed for a Heartbreak." Uh,
It's a good one.
then I had, of course, Warrant, "Sometimes She Cries." I also had Wasp, "Forever Free." Uh, Vinnie Vincent, "Invasion," "Love Kills." And then I also had Scorpion, "Still Loving You." So
Yeah.
actually, I think I wound up with 11, but I was I just now counted that, and I said, "Damn, I think that's 11." Leave it to me to not be able to count. Shit. I was trying to
Uh,
actually do the right thing and still mess
yeah.
it up.
Yeah. Your list goes to 11.
Oh
But again,
wow!
but still, again, we pretty much say it every week, because I mean, it would be weird if we each had the same 10 songs. But that again, that's why we started doing this because
Right,
it just goes to show how many great songs were actually out there, no matter what the theme of the list ends up being. Because I mean, you inadvertently went to 11, which is fine, but we both had there were four songs that we had were the same, which
yeah,
means that there were
14
in
total that
upwards of,
weren't.
yeah, there were 14 total that weren't. So you know and then there were songs obviously that both of us missed. I guarantee you there are, because I mean,
Oh
I got
yeah,
done I got done with my list, and there were two songs that I was going to include but I didn't, because I'm a fan of Journey. I love Journey from my childhood, but I also don't consider Journey heavy metal at the same time.
right,
But when you consider Open Arms and Faithfully, those were two of the songs that I would have included. But personally, I don't consider Journey heavy metal, even though I
right.
am a fan of theirs. So I kept those two songs off the list. But a lot of people might have included those, and they would have been okay to do that. because it's their opinion. But for me personally, I decided to leave those songs off on purpose. But there, I guarantee, like I mean, hell, Angela or Susie, I mean, they may have 10 completely different songs than you or I or
Oh yeah.
anybody out there listening. They may have a completely different list than ours, which is another reason why we like doing these.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. So next week we'll do the '90s. Should we up it to 15 since it's the '90s and that was like the big, decade for power ballads?
Um, you know what? Screw it. Why the hell not? We'll go with 15 next week.
Because,
Yeah.
like I said, I had 18 and I narrowed it down to. I thought I narrowed it down to 10, but evidently it was 11. But you
Okay.
know,
All right. Well. All right. Yeah. Sure. We'll go 15
yeah, you go
and
15, I go 16, and then.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
All right. Well. All right. We'll up it to 15, and I will make a slight revision to my restriction. I will try to keep Nothing Else Matters and The Unforgiven off my list. if we're expanding it by 5, I won't make any promises, but I will make a concerted effort to keep those 2 songs off the list.
Nah, well, hey, if they're your favorites, they're your favorites, man. It's like
Oh well,
no matter how many
like
lists they show up
yeah,
on. So,
yeah. Like I've said before, The Unforgiven is my all-time favorite song, hands down.
all right, well, let's move into album reviews.
We won't
Which,
actually have to rush through these this time. Even though
well, I mean, we got 10 minutes, so we might have to
yeah,
a little bit, but
yeah. Nah, I
so
think we got plenty of time.
yeah, I did. I did. I'm gonna go off with this one first. I did a domination campaign. Never heard of the guys. Evidently, offshoot. Sorry, from the Tasmanian death metal band Psychroptic, which I've never heard of either. But evidently, they are uh, very very popular in the death metal world, which we don't do a lot of death metal stuff. So uh,
Yeah.
I did find the vocals on this album like really really horrible. I'm sorry. I'm like usually I don't give because I expect a lot of the it wasn't what I expected of death metal. I guess I should say it was more of it almost sounded like a bad Randy Blythe impersonation. That's how bad it was.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's yeah,
So
that's no good.
yeah. So I mean, like some people may like it though. Don't knock it. Just because I don't like it. But that was just
Right.
my personal
Exactly.
opinion. Uh, the new this was the first album from the Domination Campaign project. So it was 8 songs, 29 minutes, 49 seconds. And like I said, man, I tell you what, there was one song. Oh my god, which one it was now? I think it was Onward to Glory or Death Before Dishonor. I don't remember. One of the first 2 songs. The freaking beat to that song. Oh my fucking god, dude! Like I'll have to play it for you. It's just
Okay.
like yeah, I mean, I was just like, oh my god. And then he started singing and fucked it all up.
Yeah.
But but man, that freaking beat, dude. It's something like yeah, man. It was just so damn good. Uh, but yeah, so I wasn't really impressed. I'd probably go just down the middle with it, 2.5 horns, just because of the beats and stuff in the songs were like really really awesome. Just couldn't get over the vocals, man. The vocals were pretty horrible. Um,
Yeah.
now let's see. Well, my other album isn't on here. Where'd it go? Let me go back and try to find it real quick. I also listened to a band. Actually, they had been around for a while. I didn't know a band called Hardline, um, and it looks like they've had uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think this is their 8th studio album, and they have a loud album out there too. But the band was originally formed in '91 by brothers Johnny and Joey Gialli. The band consisted of 5 members then. Um, trying to see when their current members are right here. Current members are Johnny Gialli, Alessandro Del Vecchio, Anna Portalupi, Mario Percadani, and Marco Di Salvia. So apologize. I probably butchered some of your names, but I apologize. So it was really this album was it looked like it was the first one that they did in a while. Actually, looks like they took a 7 year hiatus from 91. They were together 91, 92, then took a hiatus till 99, then till 2009, and then they got back together in 2011. So they've been off and on for a long time. But anyway, it was definitely a 80s type band feel, of course. Being in the 90s, firehousey type band. Not bad, but not real great either. It was kind of what I think I told you was kind of cheesy.
Yeah, you did.
A lot of yeah,
Yeah, you said it was cheesy.
a lot of stuff was kind of cheesy. Of course, back then cheesy was good.
That's true.
So, but yeah, wasn't like really big fan of the album. Trying to see here, it was 11 songs, 49 minutes, 38 seconds. But yeah, it was definitely not one of my favorites. I still probably just take this one right down the middle as well, like a 2.5 out of 5 horns. Wasn't real big on it. So
yeah.
And then I listened to one more. I'm gonna try to look this up because I think there was a kind of another one of those. Yeah, because like the Life Project is actually a project to serve the needs of homeless people. So so you have to
okay.
go. Yeah, you have to go and here we go. A little information there. This was like their debut EP, the Life Project. It was at the Gates, I think, or no, sorry, that's not right. It was Stone Sour's guitarist Josh Rand and then co-singer or co-songwriter and vocalist Cassandra Carson. So it's just a twofer. Man, I tell you what, I didn't realize how. What am I trying to say? I didn't realize how many instruments that Josh Rand played. He did some drums, did some guitars. I was like, damn, that guy did all that.
I didn't either.
But yeah, but it definitely had a Stone Sour sound to it. It was kind of a Stone Sour mixed with Hellstorm, so it wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed a couple of the songs on there, and then they had a little bit of everything there. They had their fast paced stuff. Then they had a couple of couple of songs on there that were what the hell this thing doing. Anyway, they had a couple of songs on there that was like ballady type. But the first three, Ignite, Purgatory, and the Nothingness. Oh my God, like that Nothingness song, you gotta check that out, dude. I got a video of that on YouTube. Man,
okay, well, I'll check that out.
Badass, dude.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
It's a 5-song EP, 21 minutes, 19 seconds. So kind of EP standard. Sure. I definitely enjoyed this one a little more. I'm actually going to go out on a limb and give it a 3.5 out of 5. So probably my better listen of the three. So
yeah, I'll definitely try to check that out.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good stuff.
All right. I was only able to find one full length album to listen to. Like I say, the one that I had planned on listening to got pushed back a week. I listened to The Reckoning, which was a duet project from Netta Loren and Nora Luhaimo. Netta Loren is the lead singer of the Finnish band Smackbound. She's been the lead singer of that band since 2015. I've never heard of that band. I'm probably going to check out some of their stuff. Netta Loren, she was born in 1980 in Pirkkala, Finland. Noora Luhaimo, she was born in 1988 in Finland, so they're both from Finland. Noora Luhaimo, she's actually been the lead singer of Battle Beast since 2012. I've actually heard of Battle Beast. I haven't heard any of their stuff. I do want to check out some of their stuff. So it was a duet between the two. They both took turns, on lead vocals on one song or another. Let's see, you have Sammy Elbana on lead guitar. You have Netta Loren's husband Nino on rhythm guitar. You have Paisi Haikala on bass. You have Vili Itapelto on keyboards and Sampo Hapaniemi on drums. Say what you want about Finland, man. They've got some names. They have got some names. I don't know exactly.
And not Metallica, Pantera, and Slayer.
Right. No. I don't exactly know the overall duration of the album. I wasn't able to find that because it wasn't listed on Encyclopedia Metallum, so I'm not exactly sure. But it was 10 songs. "Time to Kill the Night" was track 1. You had the title track, track 2. Track 3 was "Tongue of Dirt." Track 4 was "Striking Like a Thunder," which I have a hard time with that album that song title because everyone knows that lightning is what strikes and thunder rolls.
Right.
So I really had a hard time getting past the name of that track. Anyway, I digress. Track 5 was "Bitch Fire." Track 6 was "Hurricane Love," which was the full-fledged ballad on the album. Then track number 7 was "To the Wall." Track number 8 was "Viper's Kiss." Track number 9 was "Walk Through Fire," which was kind of like I'd say it was half ballad. A little more up tempo than "Hurricane Love," which was full-fledged ballad. Basically nothing but the dual vocalist and piano accompaniment. And then track number 10 was "Dancers of Truth." I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this album. Like I say, I had never really heard anything by either one of these two vocalists. So it was kind of a surprise to listen to the two of them sing together. They both have kind of the same vocal style. Noora Luhaimo, she goes a little bit more aggressive vocally on a couple of the songs, but clean vocals throughout from both of them. Really good, heavy, straightforward guitar riffs. A little bit of a power metal element throughout the entire album, with the exception of the two ballady type songs, but straightforward, in your face, heavy. A couple of the songs have a little bit of the mysticality to it, thanks to the keyboard accompaniment. So you get a little bit of that in there too, which is, it's not overdone, which is good because sometimes you can go a little overboard with the keyboard. But the songs where the keyboards are present, they're in the background. They add a little bit of that element that needs to be there, but it doesn't overpower the rest of the music. So overall, yeah, I was considering that I hadn't heard anything from these two women before. They worked well off of each other. And I think it was a good 3.5 out of 5 horns for sure. Something I'll probably keep and listen to again. I would probably suggest that everybody go give it a listen. I would probably say that this is what if I was to give a comparison, I would probably compare it to Hailstorm and Pretty Reckless if they were heavier.
Gotcha.
Probably what Hailstorm and Pretty Reckless should strive to be, in my opinion. But but that's just me. But yeah, it was a good album. It was a surprise. Having not heard anything from either one of them before, it was a nice surprise.
Yeah. I always like the nice surprise ones.
Yeah. All right. So real quick before we head out for this week, next week, July 16th of 2021. This is the list of the upcoming releases for this coming Friday. Leading off with Big City with Testify. We have Bulb with Moderately Fast, Adequately Furious. We have Cognitive with Malevolent Thoughts of a Hastened Execution. We have Heaven and Earth with V, and I'm assuming that's the Roman numeral 5. We have Inner Stream with Stain the Sea. We have Marta Gabriel with Metal Queens. We have Ophidian 1 with Desolate. We have Paradise Lost with At the Mill. That's a CD DVD combo. We have Resurrection Kings with Skygazer. We have Shadows Fall with Of One Blood, and that's a vinyl re-release for them. I actually have that CD downstairs. It's a very good album if you haven't heard it. We have Space Chaser with Give Us Life. We have Times of Grace with Songs of Loss and Separation. We have Vandor with On a Moonlit Night. We have Vuna with Atropos. We have Willow with Lately I Feel Everything. We have Wizard Throne with Hypercube Necro Dimension, that is. And we have Wormwood with Archivet. I think that's how they pronounce that. And the one album that I was going to listen to this week that got pushed until next week, we have Power Wolf with Call of the Wild. So that was the one that I was going to check out and review this week, but it actually got pushed till next Friday. So that'll be one of the ones that I try to focus on the most. But this week it looks like there's a lot more brand new music coming out, so maybe we won't have such a difficult time.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm definitely going to check out that Times of Grace. If you're not familiar with that, that's that Jesse Leach and Adam Dukowitz from Killswitch Engage's side project.
Oh, that's why that sounds so familiar. Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to check that out. The 2 songs I've heard so far are pretty damn good, so looking forward to that too. So yeah, we got a couple of good ones. Have got a couple of good ones next week, so maybe it won't be so hard to find something.
Yeah, maybe both of us will get more than one. Where I was able to just get the one this week, so maybe we'll both get to do multiple reviews next week.
All right. So next week we got that to look forward to. We got the metal ballads of the '90s, and then I'm going to carry over a story about Running James Dio that I didn't get to do today. So.
All right. Yeah, so we got half a show done already for next week.
Yeah, right. So don't prepare a bunch next week.
So. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. We won't have to cram, so that's good.
Yeah. Well. All right. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. No matter what platform you're listening to us on, we do appreciate it very much. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Any last thoughts there, Chris? Or?
Yeah, just want to echo what you said. Just want to thank everybody for coming by and us out. Whether anybody came by and checked us out live this week on VOP or HAPS or whatever platform you guys listen to for all your podcast streaming, or if anybody after the fact this week checks us out on the rebroadcast, we appreciate that too. If anybody wants to head over to the Metalheads Unite Facebook page and become a member over there, go ahead and shoot us a member request, and we'll get that approved. And then we try to keep up with the best we can. And last night we went. I know what you're going to say. Last night we went. We hit 200 members, and then at some point during the night we went back down to 199. So if anybody wants to come by and be the second 200th member of the Facebook group, come on over and send us the request. We'll get you guys approved, and we do our best to try to keep the content updated during the week. But with both of us having to work for a living, that gets a little more difficult than we would like. Yeah. But we do our best to keep the content fresh. But just want to thank everybody, like I say, for coming by. We do enjoy doing this for you guys every week, and we hope you guys enjoy listening to us.
So I'll say, just make sure if you're going to try to join the group on Facebook, please have a legitimate freaking profile. Don't give it, I see these blank pictures and the names, and then they're in 50,000 groups and they got 5 friends. I'm just like, well, that's a flag,
yeah.
So, we have had, if you want to legitimately come on, then great. But we're not going to approve you if you only got 2 pictures and it says been a member since 2019 and you got 5 posts. I mean, you're obviously not on here enough to even know we exist. So
yeah. So we definitely haven't approved every single membership request. So, but come on over and come join the group. We'll be happy to have
Yeah.
you.
All right. With that being said, I hope you guys have a safe week. Come back and join us again next week. Until then, keep those devil horns held high and then jump in that pit anytime you can.
Thank you
See
guys.
you
Have a great week.
guys. See you guys next week. Or not. Oh wow.
Yeah, we at least need to get an outro jingle to play. That way we don't have to
I
just
know,
sit here
right?
with dead air.
Uh,
Uh,
hmm.
that's all right. They'll get us in just a second.
Yeah. Yeah, be good.
Did you were talking about that Life Project song?
Hmm.
Is there? You did say there was a video of it on YouTube.
Yeah. What was that? Say nothing. Nothing. Something's the name of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely look it up. I'm sure. I'm sure
Yeah,
if I.
the nothingness.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, that sounds pretty heavy, man. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And then what was the name of the song you were talking about by the Domination Campaign? The one that had that really good beat at the beginning of the song?
I can't remember. It was one of the first. One of the first ones. Uh, that was good too. But there's a lot of good ones on here, but like one of the first two songs, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was actually trying to download that Domination Campaign album. That was one of the ones that I was going to try to listen to, but I wasn't able to find it anywhere. So,
Oh, it's actually the Sniper's Gaze.
The Sniper's Gaze. Well, that's a
Yeah.
hell of a song title.
God, that guitar is so fucking. Jesus. Yeah, that guitar is badass in that song, dude.
That was a super duper crunchy riff. I could even hear it through. I could
Oh,
even
could
hear
you?
it over the
Yeah,
air. Yeah, man.
it's it was pretty rough. Man, I was like, damn, that's pretty damn good. Um,